All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I tried to dry my hair before I came on. Didn't work. I thought it was more dry than what it obviously was when I just started the call. All right. Let me make sure. Let's fix some lighting here. A little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit. All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited today for today's Marketing Power Hour call. Duncan is here with me, but has informed me he's a bit under the weather, so he will chime in where and when he can. But apparently it's kicking his butt. So we're just going to jump right into it. So this week we are, oh, Scott needs video access. Yeah, I don't know why I had that happen to another client on another call, but like it is not something other people are having an issue with. So I'm not quite sure what this is, what's going on here. All right. So I gave you access, Scott. I don't know if it's working or not. Let's pull up. All right, we're good with that. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is a hot seat with Mark and Jennifer from Dr. Cool. At the end of last week's call, they had a bunch of extra questions about like, what do we do with this time of year? What are some kinds of posts that we can make since the weather's been so mild? Business has been down. So what do we actually do in order to get things moving? And I'm excited about this conversation. I'm excited to talk to Mark and Jennifer because I think there are a lot of opportunities within your business. I think that with the level of marketing that I've seen from your competitors in this area, Duncan and I talk a lot about small town famous. I don't think there's any reason why you guys cannot be that small town famous like we talked about last week. So I think how I'd like to start is just to have you guys kind of introduce yourself to the group. I think pretty much everybody here knows you. I don't know that if Adam and Diane do, I'm not sure. Diane does. Okay, good. I'm not sure if Adam does. So just do a quick introduction of who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into what your challenges are with marketing your business right now.
I'm Mark, owner and operator of Dr. Cool Air Conditioning in beautiful Bonita Springs, and we do all phases of air conditioning, everything from a residential AC maintenance to a commercial rooftop change out.
That's see, now you're making me miss Wednesday mornings because that was
I didn't say temperature running high.
yeah, you didn't say it. So AC and you serve mostly, do you serve all of Southwest Florida?
All
Or
of Southwest Florida, everything from Marco Island to North Fort Myers on a regular basis, on a daily basis, and then we do go to Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte for select customers.
And they even come out here to Lehigh, so they
Yeah,
were able
Lehigh to
to
Cape Coral.
yeah, they were able to help us out here too. Okay, so you were mentioning the challenge is that you're having a lot of challenges with the weather right now. And what I want to do is kind of back that up further. Mark, you had mentioned at a grow meeting at one point in time, you said, well, I don't really do marketing, right? That you're not really doing marketing. And for me, that was a red flag because this is exactly the kind of situation that can happen when you don't know what your marketing is and where your customers are coming from and how to intentionally go out and get customers is when there is a lull, you don't have those systems in place to capture them. So that's why I'm really excited to talk about this because marketing is my favorite subject on the planet. And so I'm excited to talk to you guys about it. So if you are not doing marketing or what you would consider traditional marketing, what are you doing to
Well,
get customers now?
a lot of what I guess we do is marketing. I mean, we do in a sense, we do quite a bit of marketing. I
Okay.
used to do even more. I used to be on radio, on TV. If you came in my door selling some type of marketing, I was buying it. And I bought everything. The bad thing was I had nobody tracking it. I was just having this conversation about 2 minutes ago. Because I'm going to go down and make noise about it. Because what we are doing, I mean, we do quite a bit of Facebook stuff. I feel like in small town famous, I think I'm Facebook famous here in Southwest Florida. People see my face and know my videos. But in a minor technicality, I guess what we're doing is not marketing. We're doing brand recognition with a lot of what I'm doing. We do have like an ad in Gulf Shore, the 239 local magazine used to be Gulf Shore Local or whatever. We have ads in there. We're actually getting ready to pull that because from what we can tell, we're not getting nothing from it. I tried it again for a year to see what would happen, and it hasn't changed. But most of what we're doing is our Facebook stuff, and then
And then
grow,
just sponsoring
and then
things.
sponsoring events, and and just our networking
So literally there's no like paper marketing or any of that type of marketing. We don't
or
do email
SEO.
marketing because I've never even done, literally January was my first email that I ever sent out to a customer.
I'm so excited about that. Like I'm
And she's
biting at
actually
the
getting
bit about
she's
email.
getting like clicks on her stuff, and she's excited about that. And then she sat down with AI last week and put together a list of marketing different things she did, and she sent it to me and told me come up with different ideas for each. She's give me some ideas and I can go with it. So we're working on some of that stuff now.
Okay. So
But
you mentioned that you've tried all the marketing things, right? You've tried all the advertising platforms. If anybody had ads to sell, you were buying it. And that's one of the things that when I opened up a retail location, I had already known a little bit about marketing, and these ad reps would come knocking on the door, and they always have like a deal to sell you. We're doing a special spread to promote people in the downtown area, and we want to invite you to be a part of it. And so one of the things that I learned early on, hold on, doggies, go lay down. They're clicking their nails. You need to go lay down, please. And thank you. Go lay down. Thank you. So one of the things that I learned early on, and that absolutely fascinated me, that really got me super interested in marketing and advertising, is that I could run an ad. I could take out an ad that's this big in the newspaper, right? I could take out an ad this big, and that ad can either work or not work. The ad costs the same amount of money. If it's $200 for an ad this size, it costs the same amount of money, but it can either bring me in money or it can cost me money, right? And so that's what I really got fascinated with. And I think that's a big misconception that a lot of people have about print advertising, even Facebook posts. I was just reading a question from one of my clients the other day, yesterday. And they're like, I'm posting every day to Facebook, but no customers. Like, what's up with that? Like, Facebook doesn't work. And you can post every day to Facebook and you can run these ads and they can either work or not work. And the difference between whether they work or not work is the strategy and the psychology and the offer that you put into that ad. For example, we had a used bookstore and we ran ads. And if we had an ad this size, you could try just like, hey, we have a used bookstore. Come on down to downtown Sandusky. Check us out. Our name across the top. That ad's not going to work. And that's a traditional ad. And that's what your ad reps are always going to create for you. That's because to them, that's an advert. We're getting your name out there. It's one of the, Duncan and I talk about that phrase just drives me nuts because people aren't buying because of my name. We need to give them an offer. So instead, we would take that same ad and we would say, get one free book. Now we're selling used books. We're getting books for free all day long. So we would just say, come down and get a free book. And we made it look like a coupon. They would cut it out. And all of a sudden, this ad that cost me $200 made me $1,000 in book sales instead of nothing happening. So it's not necessarily the medium, right? So print ads, you were talking about the booklet that you're in now, the 239 local, I think you mentioned. I'm not really familiar with it. Yeah. You could put an ad in there that works and you could put an ad in there that doesn't work. And what we don't know right now is if the medium is what's not working or if it's the ad that's not working. So I always start with trying to fix the ad and find a way to make an ad that has an offer, that has proper psychology to it. So like people are always looking for what's in it for them, right? So starting with a headline that calls out to the problem that they are experiencing right now versus starting out the ad with Dr. Cool air conditioning, right? That's not addressing my problem. But if you tell me that, hey, did you know that if your AC isn't, tuned I'm just making stuff up. Like, don't correct me, but I'm just gonna make some stuff up.
You're good.
If your AC isn't tuned just right, you could get mold growth. And I know, Diane, we can't say mold, but you could get mold growth in your walls, and and you wouldn't even know it, and you think your AC is working okay. Now that's going to get my attention and be like, whoa, wait a minute. How do I know if my AC is big enough for my house? Because we've gotten that from people looking at our AC, that it's not big enough, and therefore it may not be keeping up with the humidity in the house, for example, right? So there's different ways you can approach it. You can also say, like, I know you talk about a lot of your competitors will do like a free service call, but then they're looking for things. But the reason why that free service call works, because it's an offer. It's an offer. They're seeing that here is an offer, and I get to say yes or no to that. If you just say Dr. Cool air conditioning, that's not a yes or no. That's just what you were talking about, like with brand recognition. All that is brand recognition. So one of my favorite places to test this stuff is Facebook, because it literally costs you nothing to test different types of posts and different types of offers. And it can cost you something if you run Facebook ads to it, and you can test it that way. But it's not a big long-term commitment, right? You can turn on an ad this morning and turn it off 2 hours later. You could turn it off the next day. Where with these bigger publications, you've got to get the ad just right, because you're putting a lot of money into it. And that's the ad you're going to have for the next month or the next 6 months or however long it runs in that publication. So Facebook is one of my favorite places to test these sort of things. The other place I like to test these things is email. So Jen, you said that you finally sent your first email last month. This is my favorite question on the planet. I get so excited. How big is your email list? How many people are on your email list?
It's like 2,700.
2,700. Okay, that's a decent size. Is your email list segmented in that who is a current customer, who is not a current customer, what kind of services they purchased before?
No.
Okay. So in your tracking, the answer you give me doesn't really matter because I don't know them, but like in the software you use to do your billing, etc., is there a way to tag people in that software to say they just purchased an X or they just purchased a Y?
Well, I mean, yes, but not where I can run a report to see that.
Okay. So that is something that I would look at, because even Scott's conversation about KPIs, the 2 weeks ago, being able to track all of those different elements, I think is really, really important in your business, that what kind of customers, who is buying what, and how much you're making in sales of different specific types of products and services. Because what you can do, if you have the proper software to track that sort of stuff, you can then export that with the tags and then import that into an email provider, or you use, and Duncan's probably like jumping out of his seat saying high level. He has a program that does this, that it will automatically create an email marketing. The email marketing is integrated into your billing, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, go for it, Duncan. You tell them all about it.
It really what we're talking about is like data that you can take specific actions on, right?
Right.
So like if somebody purchased an AC, tune up or cleaning 6 months ago, and when you stop there that it was like a 5-year-old unit and they need to be serviced every 6 months, you can then send them an email based on that data, right? It's like that's really what we're trying to do is you have this list, and how do you know how to speak to people specifically enough that you can get them to take action on an offer? And the best way to do that is to have as much detailed data about that customer as possible. And your usually email marketing softwares have a way to basically attach that data to that person. You can say, you can give them tags, or you can group them all into a specific list within your list that says these people purchased a service but didn't purchase, they need a duct cleaning, or they need a replacement, so send them an offer on a replacement. That's really what you're looking for. And the software that I use basically does all that stuff. And that's why I like it. But really, most email marketing services have something to that effect.
Yeah, you just may have to either set up like a Zap for it. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Zapier before, but it's basically that if it happens in this software over here and gets tagged, it will zap that information over to your email. It just makes the two communicate with each other, or somebody has to manually enter in that information. So if it's a separate email provider, you've got to find a way to get them to talk or to manually put those in. So some examples of how this could work is like if you were able to tag people with the year, I like the year that their AC was installed. And maybe you didn't install it, but you go and you service it and you ask them, when was your AC installed? Oh, I think it was installed in 2015. If you tag it with the year, then when you know that AC is about 10 years old, you can say to everybody who has a 2015 AC, send them an email about how to or some of the problems that can come up with 10-year-old ACs. When your AC is 10 years old, these are the problems that you're going to see. And these are the special things we need to do for your AC. And you also know, and again, I don't know how long an AC lasts, but you know that, okay, at 10 years, now we're starting to look at replacements, right?
Yeah.
So if I know who has 10-year-old AC, then I can target emails directly to them and say, hey, your AC is 10 years old. You're probably noticing these three things, right? And that's a sign that your AC is on its last leg. Right? And some people read it and say, oh, no, my AC is 10 years old and it's doing great. And others are like, 1, 2, I got at least 2 of them. I'm sure that third one's going to be coming around. And so you're able to target them specifically, even if they were your customer 10 years ago or not your customer 10 years ago. You can also know who has a brand new AC and you're not sending them emails pitching brand new ACs because you're like, I don't need to tell them that they can install a brand new AC. You can find out who, again, if you have tags of the dates of when they were last serviced, then if they were just serviced, we don't want to send them an email saying, get your unit serviced. We want to send them that in 6 months.
Yeah,
So I
so
think
And you can even
soft,
do this through your emails as well. So like with your existing customers, I've sent out surveys before where they're not all going to answer the survey, but if it's soon enough after you've done a service and you're like, hey, I just wanted to ask, um, you can collect some data from them through the email to increase the quality of your list. And like they'll give them like a 3-question survey about whatever you want to know that will
how
help
old is
you.
your AC? How often do you
Yeah,
have it serviced? That sort of
correct.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
so our software does like, we have like an agreement. So if you have a maintenance with us, our software in 6 months after you have it, it will send you a reminder for that.
Okay, good.
But like one of the things that I wanted to work on, and I don't know, and maybe there is a way to pull the report, but I don't know. I had said to him the other day, wouldn't it be cool to send them a birthday card when the AC is 1 year old, or
I love
even 2
that.
years old? Like send them a birthday card saying, hey, remember it's your AC's birthday, like, type of deal. And give them like a little offer in there about
Show it
maintenance,
some
or
love.
show it some love and give it maintenance, or something like that. We thought would be a good one, but keeping track of that and knowing how to do it was
Yeah, and I would flip that rather than saying, hey, you customer, show it some love. We want to show your AC some love, right? Like we're going to do this favor for you. We're going to do it's 1 year tune up. Oh, he's all grown up now. He's a year old.
Yeah.
We're going to come out, we're going to give him a tune up and we've got this special offer just for your AC's 1-year birthday.
Yeah,
love
you make it like you guys got their AC a present for its birthday.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the a marketing strategy that I've used over and over and over again, and I've seen other businesses use it a lot, is it's my birthday, but you get the presents. So I did like a 6-hour live extravaganza. I've done 3 of these. I just did one this last December where I went live for 6 hours. We brought on guests, we gave away prizes, and it was on my birthday. And so I'm like, it's my birthday, but you get the presents, right? So it's that I'm giving something to you, to your AC for its birthday. Don't encourage them to get something for their AC. You're giving them something. So it's the same offer. It's just kind of that psychology, right?
Yeah, the
Just
gear.
yeah, the way that you word it can make the difference between them taking action and not taking action, which is again just fascinates me that the words we use are that important, and the way that we use them and how we communicate to people mean that an offer will either work or not work. So I would play around with the software that you have and see what you're able to extract from it as far as data, and then how to actually act on that data, and whether or not you can send. So when you're sending emails, are you sending emails from the software itself?
The
Or do
ones
you
for the agreement come from the software itself, but other than that, I've been using MailChimp.
MailChimp, okay. Um, by the way, like if you want to change to a different email autoresponder, like MailChimp is probably one of the most complicated, annoying ones out there. It's
Okay.
popular, but I've been using email autoresponders since 2003, and I wanted to throw my computer through the wall using MailChimp.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately, they're all a bit complicated. The only one that I found that strips it down to kind of bare minimum is called Mailer Lite, and it's nice, but it's missing some of the things that I usually like. Allie uses Aweber, which is
yeah,
really
yeah,
good.
I
It
love
has a
Aweber.
lot of the functionality that I like, and it's not too complicated. Um, I tend to lean more towards something that does everything that I need, so I don't have to go into different softwares, which is why I use High Level. But if you already have like different systems, and it would be really painful to switch everything over to an all-in-one thing, I look for like ease of use and automation. So automations basically you just want something that you can say to the software, like when I put this person into the software and I say that they got a new system, it can then send out a series of emails at a specific date and time in the future, right? So like it'll do the 1 year birthday thing, and leading up to that it'll do a bunch of other ones that you can just pre-write and say send out in this increment, over the next year or whatever. Those are the two things that I always look for from an email software.
And
Is that
as far as email, I know that, which we didn't realize that we did but didn't, when we had our website done by Sparkler
Sparkler.
Digital, part of what we got was a software platform that does all that email stuff.
So
He's
we're going to be looking at
he's
that.
supposed to be coming and getting it set up with us and making it where we know how to work it, because that was our problem. We didn't. He's like, I don't know why y'all aren't using it. Well, we don't know how.
Right.
Yep.
So he's
Yep.
supposed
That
to be getting
actually
us
is a
fixed with
private
that and try.
label of Go High Level.
What was
Say
that, Adam?
again?
That is what they use is Go High Level. They private label it, so they give you access to the CRM.
Yeah, they're a white labeler. I do the same thing. The hard part about businesses that white label High Level is what you're exactly what you guys are mentioning. It's like if it doesn't come with like if it doesn't come with some level of education or some kind of training video, it's a pretty heavy software. There's a lot in there. And it can be the learning curve can be pretty steep. But if you guys need any help with that, I'm happy to help. And I'm sure that um, Mike over at Sparkler Digital has some sort of something that he can send and help you get set up. But it is a really powerful software. It does all those automations and it can send out emails, et cetera, et cetera.
so? Real quick, I would think a CRM is the place to start to make sure you can manage all of your customers and tag them the way you need and manage that piece. And then obviously a good mailer, but hopefully that would just attach to it or be part of it. But to me, it's really about understanding how you want to segment your customers and how you want to attribute your customers and how you want to then obviously communicate them. But I don't know, Mark, do you have a CRM now that you're using that has a lot of functionality and
Yeah,
flexibility?
we have our CRM that we use. We're actually in the process of switching to the industry's best software out there, Service Titan. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it, but We're in the
So
process of
that's
switching.
so that's what so generally speaking, if you're switching over to a different CRM, you're not going to need, if it has everything that you need, you're not going to need what the platform that Mike is offering, right? So that's what that is. It's a CRM. The main difference between Service Titan and what Mike is selling is that Service Titan has a lot of things that are made specifically for your industry, which can be great, but it can also be missing some things. So I would just, whatever system you're going to pick, try and streamline everything and find something that does most of what you need in that platform. And I'm pretty sure Service Titan does like most everything. Like it's a CRM and it has all the
'Cause we
other.
bought the Cadillac.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
bought the
Yep,
best.
yep.
And the nice thing is I know that it communicates, like we can connect if we needed a different program for something else,
Yeah,
it
it connects to
will
everything. Yep.
work with it and communicate back and forth and send whatever over. So that's one of the pros to it. That's a big pro.
Got
Yeah,
it.
and
Versus the program we have now doesn't, it's a pain in the butt.
so
Yep.
then you can have all the bells and whistles, but again, you can have the spot in the paper, but if you don't know how to use it, it doesn't do anything for
Yep.
you. It
Well,
just costs you money. So you need to know, that's where the strategy comes in. And that I think is one of the things that Duncan and I talk a lot about, is that a lot of these guys that walk into your shop and say, I'll sell you this, this, and that, they're giving you the platform. They're giving you the nuts and bolts of how to do the thing, but they're not giving you the strategy. And that's one thing I learned very quickly. I had an ad rep that would tell me like, wow, you know so much about marketing. Like I told her, I said, how do I track to see if this ad is working? And she's like, I never thought of that before. This is the ad rep. This is the ad rep. Can't tell you how to track whether or not your ad is working. And so there are a lot of these guys that have the nuts and the bolts don't actually know how to do they don't know the marketing strategy and then how to track that marketing strategy. So go ahead.
One thing I've struggled with marketing is like, especially the ones that do track it for you, they'll have a tracked phone number.
Mhm.
And I've always feared that tracked phone number. We have used it before, and it's nice because a lot of them, they'll record the conversations and all, which is great. But that tracked phone number, if you found me in that magazine and that track number was how you found me, what number did you save to your phone for me? Probably that number. When you call that number in a year and I'm not using that marketing process no more, it probably says, this number is disconnected.
Yeah.
You think I done went out of business. That's a
Yep.
fear I have. And so I've always been afraid of that.
So
But
one of the things you can do to overcome that is, I don't recall when I called your office if she asked me where I found out about you from.
that's the
Probably
conversation
not.
I'm going down to have.
Yeah.
That's
Because
because I've been
then I
yelling
could say
about it.
grow business network, right? I know exactly where I met you at, and they can say, oh, I found your ad in, and sometimes they don't know. Like sometimes they're like, oh, I think I found you on Google, but they actually saw you on Facebook first, and then they Googled, and then they saw you there, and then they're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's that person. So sometimes it's a little muddy. But yeah, I think asking on that phone call when somebody calls and says, where did you hear about us?
We're supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, no, that's going to be super important. And that's all data you can put directly into this CRM. So that you can, again, run a report and say, where are the majority of our sales last month? Where did our sales come from? And then
Mhm.
you can know, did that ad actually work for me or not? And if it didn't, now you can have the conversation, what can we do to either make that ad work? Or are we just saying like, hey, Facebook is a runaway winner. So we're just going to double down over there and maybe not worry about these smaller publications. Like you can't make those decisions unless you have the data.
Yeah,
If you
and
don't have the
also,
data, then you don't know.
yes, and also picking something that picking your own metrics that you're tracking that don't rely on an external software or service is really important. So like anybody that calls, even if they call through, which is exactly what you're saying, it's like asking where they found out about you from is you doing your own attribution, but also even if they called through that tracking number, collecting their email, their name, email, phone number, and giving them a tag saying where they actually came from. It's like you own that information, and you have their contact information to reach back out to them, even if you stop using that number, right? It's like the
Yeah.
owning whatever the information is so important, and picking a KPI that doesn't rely on some marketing company. It's like you need to own the tracking, and you need to own the data. That's like one of your greatest assets as far as marketing goes.
I love that. And what Duncan said there is exactly right. Every email you get, every single email you get needs to go into that CRM. And so for me, I know in my industry, one email equals about $1 worth of income per month. So if I have 1,000-person list, I can assume to make around $1,000 a month. So my goal is to get as many of the right emails on that list as possible. And that's the game I play. How do I get your email? Because I might not sell you today, right? Somebody could call you and say, "Hey, I'm interested in getting a quote on an AC," and you give them the quote, and they're just not financially able to do it today. Their AC hasn't quite died yet. They're doing a little bit of pre-research, right? There's the people that are like, "Oh my God, my AC's gone right now. I need to buy now." But there's a lot of people that are researching, preparing, and trying to get in advance, figure out who it is they're going to hire. And if you give them that quote and then you never do follow-ups with emails, and I don't mean a single email like, "Hey, you got our quote. What do you think?" If you don't follow up with them consistently, then in 6 months when they're actually ready to buy, they're doing the whole calling around game again.
Yeah.
And then you may not be on that list. Well, I already talked to them. Let me see if this other company, right? But if you can build the relationship with them between when they called and when they're ready to buy, and they're seeing emails from you, and they're like, "These guys are fun. These guys are engaging. I'm loving all the stories I'm seeing from them on Facebook." That's why I like to have them on Facebook. And I would send emails telling them to be on Facebook. And on Facebook, I would give them opportunities to be on the email, like be everywhere, so that every time they turn around, there's Dr. Cool, right? And so when it's time to buy, they're not shopping. They already know who they're going to buy from. And Duncan and I had this conversation the other day about how everybody wants to compete where the piranhas are. Fresh meat goes in, somebody posts to Facebook, "I need an AC." Everybody and their brother is all of a sudden an AC mechanic, right? And like they're all commenting and everybody's trying to grab that fresh meat there. But the money is made in the long game, because only, what did we figure, of people that will inquire in 18 months. So anybody who inquires about a product or service will buy 50% of them will buy that product or service within 18 months. Okay. So say 100 people inquire, 50 of them will actually buy that product or service. Of those 50, only 10% of those will buy within 90 days. So there's 40 more. 40 is greater than 10. And everybody's fighting for this 10. And nobody in your industry is playing that long game to get the other 40. It's all about who's ready for an AC right now. Let's snap them all up. And I'm not saying not to be visible there. Absolutely. And I think, what Grow does, I think, is genius as far as what the Bonita Group does for helping each other in the comments section.
Mhm.
But you have to have a plan for those other 40, and you have to have a long-term strategy. And that's where it takes, I love what Scott showed in the KPI conversation about, like, this is the fun, easy stuff down here, but to get to the next level, you have to plan and you have to strategize and you have to be consistent and you have to show up in a way that other people aren't willing to do. And I think that's how you guys push yourself to that next level, is having these long-term plans and having these emails all in queue. So when a new lead comes in, they're getting emails until I always say they buy, die, or unsubscribe, right? So like I'm going to make them make a decision, because they're
Mhm.
on the fence. Most people aren't a no. Most people are on the fence. I would say the vast majority of people that inquire about something are on the fence. They're not saying no, they're saying maybe, and then they never quite get around to it. My job as a marketer of my business is to kick them off the damn fence. And if that means a no, great. Now I know you're a no, and I can put my energy into the next person who's a maybe. And if it's a yes, then I'm going to get your money. But a lot of people are very timid with their marketing, like, oh, I don't want to like aggravate them. No, I want to aggravate them. I sent out 30 emails in the month of January, and we got 180 new signups to our program because I just hit them over and over. Now that I don't do that all the time where I'm always pitching. So right now is a little bit more relationship building, but the relationship building I do now when I'm ready to pitch again means I'm going to have that many more people sign up for my program. Right. But if I hide and I say, well, when they're ready, they'll find me, then they're going to forget I even exist. And that's what you guys got to look at. I could see at least 2 emails a week. And I think Duncan and I need to do an episode for AC company, because I think that we could do some fun, outrageous things. We just did a podcast episode on garbage collectors, like if we owned a garbage collecting company. And we were talking about like a Friday email that was like tales from the dumpster, the most interesting things we found in dumpsters this week. But like you could do some kind of like crazy stories about ACs. I mean, if you just email out stories once a week where people are tuning in to find out the latest drama that's happening in the Southwest Florida AC world, like, oh my gosh, look at this customer's thing was like completely installed upside down. I don't know, whatever it is. Or you're touching whatever that cover is outside. Ours is about to just disintegrate. Apparently you can't just replace those covers, but like it's painted over, but it looks like if you touch it, it's just going to fall apart. But the unit itself is good, but that is like wanting to fall apart. So, just sharing funny and interesting and weird things that you found throughout the week that week, and send an email about it, and maybe make a competition with your techs. Send us some crazy pics. Maybe there's an iguana in an AC unit. There's got to be something that's happening out there. Or it can be, hey, one of our competitors installed this. This is shocking. I can't believe they would actually do this to a customer. You don't have to name the competitor if you don't want, like, that's up to you. Yeah, Diane saying no, I wouldn't, but I would definitely point out that this is the other guy. The other guys are doing this, and here's why this customer was just totally screwed over by this, because now they won't have XYZ, and this unit's going to break down in 2 years, or it never worked, or whatever it is. You have stories like that. Mark's told me stories like that. And we talked about that before. We talked about that last week with a lot of your social media content can be those sorts of stories. And then you take your juiciest ones and that goes out in an email on Friday. If you did nothing but that, that would be huge. Now let's
I
talk
think
about, yeah, go ahead, Duncan.
I think stories are everything, right? Like some of my favorite pieces of advertising material, like paid ad campaigns, are really compelling stories that tell a story of how your product or service changed somebody's life, right? It's like narrative to me works better than most other things on a lot of different levels. I didn't have like a great point there, but just I love stories. Yeah, that's all.
Yes, no, I agree. It's because we tend to show up on Facebook and in email, and we
Yep.
want to put our shirt on straight, and we want to put our hat on straight, and we want to sit there like we're in school giving a presentation and being very, very professional with
Yep.
all the correct grammar and all of the buzzwords that everybody in our industry uses, and all of this very professional, clean language and communication. And that's just the most boring thing on the planet.
Yep.
It's just the most boring thing on the planet. If you can just talk to us and tell us what those stories are. And I kind of, when I talk to my clients, I feel like I just want to shake them, right? Just shake all of that nonsense loose and just let go and be you. And I actually do a 5-day live challenge with my clients, and I give them a prompt each day. And the first 4 days, they're all buttoned up and professional, and they're doing all of this. And day 5, I say, how did you feel about this challenge? So they're having to do a video of how they felt about the challenge, how they feel about going live. And all of a sudden they're off script, right? It's not tell me about your product. Okay, professional buttoned up. Day 5, they're having to talk about themselves and how they feel and what they think. And all of a sudden, they're loose and they're talking, I actually thought this was really interesting. And they're just talking to me like I'm sitting across from them
Mhm.
Mhm.
instead of looking like they're a news person. They're on the news and have to give the facts and nothing but the facts.
Well,
So yeah, I recommend that with your Facebook posts, etc. Duncan and I are doing the Facebook page reviews, and so I don't want to get into your page right now. We'll go more into the posts and things that you have on there in the review that we do, because I think there's a lot you can do with Facebook. Yeah, Mark.
One of the things that I do as well as part of email is because when we send out our quotes and they follow up, so not quite a bit of time, periodically we'll get a customer email back and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know I appreciate your time. Unfortunately, we did choose another company, and sometimes they'll say based on price or whatever they may say. If they say it's based on price, I have emailed back and said, if you don't mind me asking, where did we fall at? And I'll, as far as price, and most of the time they'll tell me what the price was, and 99% of the time I'll just make sure I finish out at the end of the conversation by, don't forget, we're always here for you if you ever need us in the future. Do you know how many times that customer has come back to us because it did not go well? And there's a lot of times it goes well, but then years later we see the house because somebody else bought it and we're getting it back again. But it's been one of those things that was one thing I always found that I at first I was like, they want something cheaper. Oh, the hell with them. But then I started swallow my pride and just
Yeah, but that's
follow
when
back
you-
with them.
That's when
And
you can send them an email saying like, okay, if your unit was permitted, these are the things that you should be looking for and to do a good
Yeah,
job, a
help
good
them.
install. And
yes,
then 6
Yes.
months, maybe send them you need maintenance on that unit because we know now that
we know
unit
you
was
got a new
filtered.
unit.
So that's kind of what that makes me think
Yes,
of that
yes.
now.
So
Yep.
you can put them in your system, even if they bought from somebody else.
Yeah.
You can put them in your system and keep communication with them so that if and when something goes wrong, they're still getting emails from you. And then when it needs to be maintained, there's a lot of these guys that are really good at the installation, but not good with the follow-up. Right? They'll show up for the big ticket thing, but then they're not wanting to be the ones to go in and do any of the follow-up. So then you're the follow-up guys and
Or to
you get
repair
them
the
into
crap
your
they
program.
did because they were a cheap company.
Yeah,
They don't want to come back.
exactly. So, all right. So list segmentation, I think, is huge.
I'm gonna
Being able
jump in.
to- Yeah, go ahead, Em.
Just to piggyback on that, I think the delivery on that is so important. And similar to you guys, like I would get so frustrated when people are like, oh, I just use Vistaprint because they're cheaper. And I'm like, oh, I get so angry. And now I've totally changed my message and saying, okay, that's fine. I'm happy like that you found a good solution. Because you also don't want to shame them from using something else because then they're not gonna like they're embarrassed to come back to you.
Yep.
So I think like you're hitting so many great points of like still like say, hey, it's okay. Let's still have a relationship for
Yes.
if anything ever happens. But I think the delivery is so important because I've had people I'm like, oh, well, okay, you just went with the cheaper route. Like it is what it is, and like blew them off, so to speak. And then like, they would circle back and they literally told me like, hey, like we wanted to do printing with you again, but we were kind of like too embarrassed to like come back. And I was like, huh, it's interesting. So it is important to keep that relationship.
Adam, that's so great. I've used that one for years. It's like if it doesn't work out for any reason, please feel comfortable coming back. And it's huge.
And before we move on, I think like to Duncan's point, storytelling is so compelling. And I'm a client of Dr. Cool's. And Mark, I think I chat with you after hours one day, like we had something go on and you picked up the phone, like there was a scheduling issue and you handled it. Like I think you need to tell that story. And I think I even told you, like I was impressed. It was like 7 o'clock at night and the owner of the company was on the phone fixing a scheduling, like those are the situations that I think like are so important to say, hey, like we're not just a cookie cutter company, like we're here, we're gonna be there to support you. I think that the storytelling is so, so important.
Yeah, because you can say all day long, we have quality service. And again, Duncan and I talk about this all the time. That's bare minimum, right? Quality service is bare minimum. And it's also empty. Like, oh, quality service. What does that mean? What does
It's a
quality
big word.
service mean? I don't know what, like, I would just assume that you're going to come out and do the thing you promised to do. But what does quality service mean? What Adam just said, that's quality service, right? So when you tell the stories, then you are conveying quality service without depending on a platitude. For my clients, they're not allowed to use the word unique because it's such a boring word. It's what is unique about it, and that's the same in your industry with the quality service. Like I want you to like get that word out of your mouth, and instead of ever saying quality service, give examples of when you have served with high quality, right? Tell us how you help your actual customers. And that's your posts, that's emails, that's in your advertising. Because quality service means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. I'm reading a book right now, Uncopyable. It's right there. It's an orange book. Highly recommend it. And he harps on that as well. He's like quality. He said the same thing. Okay, so I want to talk about what you can do with your email list right now. And Duncan, feel free to chime in because I've been working through this in my brain through the last week, but like I would love some feedback to kind of get where I want to be on this.
Absolutely.
9-word email. What could we do for Mark and Jennifer with a 9-word email to their 2,700 person list now, knowing that that sales are down because of the weather.
Mm.
Is it, so have you guys watched the 9-word email training?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so real quick, 9-word email is something that was created by a guy named Dean Jackson. You can look it up online, or you can watch I think the very first Marketing Power Hour call we did in the fall, we did on the 9-word email. So it's in the training, I believe. If it's not, I can put it there. The 9-word email is like in real estate. Hey, are you still looking to buy a house in Bonita Springs? Scott. That's it. That's the email. So this is why segmentation is important. So you could actually put this in an email series of somebody who has asked but not purchased. Hey, are you still looking to replace your AC unit? Right? But we need to know what they called about. So that's where I'm not sure with this 2,700 person list that's not segmented. Hey, are you still looking for are you still, is 2,700, are those all paying customers?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they've all used us at some point.
Right. Okay. So they're not unconverted leads. These are
No.
converted leads. So that's really important to distinguish between the two.
Well, and that
And
some
your
of them
job
could
is to
be,
build a list of
we've been to
unconverted.
their home. Some of them could be unconverted leads. Maybe we went and gave them a quote,
Okay.
but they didn't do anything. So some of them could be that because
I never thought to even separate them like that.
if I
Yes.
go to your house and give you a quote, you're still in my system as a customer.
Right.
Mm.
Right. Okay. So there are some unconverted leads in there. We just don't know who and this is where the segmentation, this is
Mhm.
why we started there. Right.
That one should be pretty easy to segment just through your accounting software. Generally, you can export a list of the people that you've actually invoiced. And same thing with your email, compare and then tag the ones that haven't actually been invoiced. But I don't think that I generally don't see any problem emailing the entire list with an offer like that, because you'll get a lot of people that'll be like, hey, they'll reply to the email like, oh no, you guys just came out and serviced my unit. Thanks, you guys did a great job. And it allows you to collect that information as well, right? Like they're not gonna, generally speaking, you're not gonna get a bunch of like angry people, that you just did business with. Like you're just going to get more information to help further segment the list. And also you'll get people that even if they aren't in the market for it, they've worked with you, they know you, they like you, and they might know someone that needs a replacement. I've used the 9-word email before. I generally speaking, wouldn't recommend this, but just to give you an idea of how far you can stretch it, I've sent a 9-word email to a list that I had never spoken to before, right? Like I knew they were interested in the thing that we were selling, but they'd never even heard of me before. And people, because they were they were the ideal client, they were like, yes, I am in the market for that, but who are you, right? And the conversation was started and you could sell from there. So I don't know if I see anything wrong emailing the entire list, even though most of them are probably customers or a lot of them are customers already. It would be a good one to send out just to kind of take the temperature of the list, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I agree with that. And I do want to send one out to the entire list. Do you think that, are you still looking for a new AC, or are you still looking for, an AC tune-up? Which one of those would you go for?
Uh, I don't know if is there a problem doing both separated by a little bit of time?
I don't have a problem with that. It's whether or
Yeah,
not
I would do
Jennifer had a
both.
problem with that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would do it.
I would do both. Yeah. So you can even do like full AC replacement first, and then anybody that's like, oh no, mine's only 6 months old. You go, oh great, here's your offer for a tune-up. 6 months is the perfect amount of time uh to have your AC serviced. Here's your offer for that. You just have to think about the kind of responses that you're going to get. It's like
Mhm.
chess, right? Like think about the kind of responses that you're going to get from the first email and have some things that are prepared to go out to the people based on those responses. That's kind of the game that you're playing with something like this. It's like, how do we engage a list that we're not quite sure where they are with their AC and like in their journey to purchase something from us? It's like, how do we get that information out of them, and how do we be ready once we get it? So I would send both, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
separated by a few weeks. Um, yeah, no, so the purpose of the 9-word email is not to advertise, right? It's to get them to engage back with you. It's to get them to respond and say something back to you. So are you still looking for a house in Southwest Florida? The idea is they say yes or no. We're trying to get a yes or no. We're trying, and you'll still have people that won't respond, but we're going to kick a few people off the fence. And they're like, no, actually, I already bought a house. Cool. You can remove them from if you're a realtor. Maybe you want to move them to a different segment, not remove them completely. Um, but if they say, yes, actually, I've been looking in this area, but haven't found what I want. Now we've started, you'd be amazed at how many people will give you that additional information and say, this is actually, I am still looking and this is what I'm struggling with. Right. And then you are just having a chat back and forth over email about what it is they're struggling with, and that you can send, oh, we'd love to send somebody out, because especially when you have techs that have a lot of free time, send them out. Oh, well, we'd love to have send somebody else out and take a look at that for you. And you just send them out, and then of course they're going to find something, because there's always something, right?
Yeah.
So that's a 9-word email, and in the subject line we'll usually just do like the word hey, like hey. If you have their first name, you can say, hey Allie, hey Diane, hey Adam, right? You can do that merge, the mail merge, where you call them out.
Yep.
And then this is so important, there are not images and logos and no kind of fancy graphics. I'm looking at you, Diane. No graphics. It is simply a text email that looks like it's coming from a friend to a friend. I think the
Yep.
most effective marketing, especially when it comes to email and when it comes to Facebook, is make it look like a person is saying and doing that thing, not a company.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
9
Yep.
words, and then you just say Mark, right? Are you still looking for a new AC unit? Mark.
Yep.
That's it.
You don't even, I normally don't even put an email signature. It's like
Nope.
they see the email that it's coming from is coming from, Mark at drcoolac.com or whatever your professional email is. So you don't need it. It's like literally, how would you send an email to your buddy? You know, you know he's interested in an AC, and you just say, hey man, are you still interested in this AC replacement? Thanks, Mark. Like it's so simple and so easy.
I wouldn't even
And
say
it's
thanks. I'm just say Mark.
yeah, exactly. Yep. Don't even
Like
have to
as
say
few
thanks.
words as possible.
Yep. I've even done it where I put the question in the subject line of the email and like didn't have any text in the body of the email. It's pretty nuts what, how you can simplify and streamline it and have it still work. But simpler the better is usually the way to go. And don't think about it as though it's coming from your company. Think about it as though you literally are saying, hey, are you still interested in this thing?
Right. And that's the difference. Again, we can send an email that works or we can send an email that doesn't work. And the difference is what is in that email.
Yep.
It's what we're actually writing. Yeah, Mark.
And I was just having a thought, in that 9-word email thing. Because a lot of what we do is about relationships, customers not buying an air conditioner, a lot of times they're buying the relationship they have with the company. Is like would an email of, hey Allie, have you ever met the doctor himself? Would you like to get to know the doctor himself, or something of that sort, to make them maybe want to set up an appointment just to meet the doctor? It doesn't cost me anything to go to your house for you to get to know the doctor and what we do and more about us. And then
Unfortunately, and it's harsh. I usually let Allie do the harsh straight talk, and I'm more of the compliment sandwich guy. But the way to think about it is that unfortunately nobody cares about the doctor yet. So like their first thing that they're going to see to get a response, you really have to focus on what's in it for them, right? So if I saw an email that was like, do you want to meet Dr. Cool to get to know us better? It's like, I don't want to know anything about your company right now
I need an
until there's
AC.
something. Yeah, I need an
Yeah.
AC. If there's nothing in it for me, like I'm not even gonna open the email. I'm not gonna read the email if there's nothing in it for me. If I don't perceive there to be any value in it for me. Obviously, you're a great guy and you have a great company that really cares about your customers, but someone just seeing that email isn't gonna know that. So you really have to lead with what's in it for them, which in this case, to make the 9-word email work, it's the offer, whatever the bait is that you're planning on using.
Yes.
yeah,
Now
I
you
guess what I
could
was thinking is like reverse psychology, in a sense of, because it's going to give us where we're going to get an influx of emails, because we know that everybody who is getting the email has used Dr. Cool. They've had us out there at some time.
Sure.
Right now with this particular thing. So my thought was, are they going to say, yeah, yes, I've met the doctor, the company is, you guys are amazing, whatever. They're going to give us a lot of positive feedback, things that we can come back here and use on the backside in our marketing as well. For here's the things that
I
are
just
being
think that it's
said.
a different approach, right?
Yep.
So if you want to do something like that, I could see sending an email that is something like, hey, it's kind of the slow time in Southwest Florida right now. And since things are a little bit slow, I want to do something a little bit different. So this week I am personally, I want to come meet, I got to work on the words, right? But basically this week I'm going to randomly show up at 2 customers' houses to meet them and ask them how their AC was. And we're going to get a picture together and it's going to be a lot of fun. And this is the kind of thing I like to do to, as the business owner, to really understand what your experience has been with the company and whether or not, how were our techs and all of that.
Mhm.
And then have something like, and that's where I was like backtracking on the random part, like, would you like Dr. raise your hand thing. Raise your hand if you'd like me to come out and say hi to you. Right.
Yeah, something about like doctors doing house calls. I don't know.
Yeah, doctors doing
Yeah,
house calls. I love that. Ah, you're so
yeah,
smart, Duncan. Yeah, I love that. And then have them respond if they would like for you to visit them. And then
yeah.
they,
So
oh my God, and that's where you're getting all the testimonials. And then you go
yes,
out and
yep,
get a
yep.
picture with them. You get their story. They tell you
Get a
how the
video,
text
get a
work,
video testimonial
video.
if you're going
Yes.
out there. Yeah, yeah. So the thing that really makes both of these strategies work is the direct response mechanism. You're saying if you want, I mean, there's a lot of things that make it work, but the thing that is trackable and that we're really going for is that response. So that it's just a different kind of it's a different kind of strategy that I also think would be great. It's just leading to a different result. The 9-word email is like you're trying to get somebody that's in market right now for a thing that you're selling. And then the other one is like you're working on building that know, like, and trust by saying, you know, I'm going to put my my time where my mouth is, or my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to come out there and meet you personally and build a relationship with you as the owner of the company. They're both really, really great strategies.
Yes.
Just they lead to different results, but both of those results are trackable. That's kind of the again, the really great thing about this. It's like the people that respond to both emails, you can say, awesome, we got a response, or we didn't get a response, or we got literally X amount of people responded to this when we did it this way. And then, you know, the next month you can try out a different wording and say, okay, well, this one worked a little better because XYZ. It's like you're working toward a very specific goal that you can track and optimize for. So yeah, great idea.
Yeah, and I also think with the reason why it doesn't work with the 9-word email is we need more context for that
Mhm.
to make sense. You know, it's like somebody saying, "Hey, I'm throwing a party. You want to come?" Okay, it's a party. I don't know really what it is, but if you could say, "Hey, I'm hosting an anniversary party and we're going to play games and we're going to do this, we're going to do that," then you're like, "Oh, okay, that sounds fun. It's for your anniversary. That's cool." You know, now I have a lot of reasons to show up and want
Mm.
to go to this party. And so when you say, "Hey, want to meet the doctor," you're kind of leaving out all the reasons why that's such a cool idea. And you're leaving out like the intention, like, okay, I don't know, like on the street, am I coming to your, like, I don't know any of the context. But if you
Mhm.
say doctor's making house calls, and we're going to go out at least 2 customers a week. We're going to come out and meet you. We're going to get a picture with you. I want to hear all about your experience. And then they feel like freaking Ed McMahon is coming to their house, right? And so they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And they're getting all dressed up and ready for when you come out. And they want to show you, here's the AC unit. And they're getting the garage all cleaned up so you can take pictures. And so you're inspecting, but you're making it a spectacle of you coming out, and you're like, all right, I'm out here to make sure these guys are doing the right job, all these young whippersnappers, you know. um and so I love that idea. I just think it requires more than a 9-word email to get that
Yep.
Okay.
across.
Yeah, it's just a different strategy, another thing that you can add. And I want to emphasize too that like all of these ideas that you're having, you don't have to you don't have to treat your list like something that is going to break if you send out an email that nobody responds to,
Egg.
right?
Yeah.
It's like all of these are great ideas, and they just in some cases need a little bit of refinement to make them work the best that they can. But every email that you send out is just an opportunity to test those ideas and refine them and make them better, right? Like I treat my list as like a obviously they're customers and I'm trying to build a relationship and I value that relationship, but really I'll send something out just to test it out and see how people respond. I'm not worried about like hurting my list or losing a bunch of people as long as I'm sending things that they will actually find valuable and are in line with what my company does, right? So like feel free to send stuff out and test it. Like the more emails you can send, the more information that you'll collect about what works and what doesn't work. So yeah, test stuff out.
That's exactly it. And yeah, we talked about that before, like treating your list like a delicate little egg. I get people say, "Well, I don't want to email list. I don't want to email my list because I don't want anybody to unsubscribe."
Yep.
And then why do you have the list?
That-
If you're afraid to market to them, then why do you have the list? The list is there for you to get sales from, but you can never get sales from them if you never send an email because you're afraid they're going to unsubscribe from the list. It's putting the cart before the horse.
Understood.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so I highly encourage you to do the 9-word email. I think I want to challenge you guys to do one this week. We had Jessica did it, and I think she closed 4 or 5 jobs off of her 9-word email. We had John C do it, and he got several new members and lots of different conversations. He did it. He took the Southwest Florida Inc. email list
Mhm.
that they provide when you're a member there, And he just emailed the entire list and said, hey, are you still looking for a networking group? And that was it. And they're like, yeah, actually I am. Okay, let me
Yep.
tell you about Grow, right? And so just by sending the email out, are you still looking for, you could do this with commercial. Are you still looking for a commercial AC company?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can just find those lists that you can email and ask them if they're looking for the thing that you do.
Not
So
to get too technical, there were some changes in February with basically regulations surrounding email. So if you're emailing a list of people that you've never spoken to before, I would recommend having like I call them burner
yeah,
domains. So don't email them from your main professional email. It needs to be a professional email, but if you're doing what's called cold emailing people that have never signed up for your list, you've never spoken to before, you can get your domain basically put on a list that's like you're in trouble for being spam email. So use one that's not attached to your website, it's not attached to your customer communication. Just be careful with that is
yeah, and
my only recommendation.
thank you, Duncan, for mentioning that. That is really, really important. When I did the Southwest Florida email, I used one of those Gmail.
Yep.
Yeah, there's like these little extensions you can put on a Gmail account, and I don't know if can you still do those from a non-domain
I don't
based
think so.
email?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, they're subject to the same regulations, so I would assume that if you try and send it from like an actual mail merge that just connects to your Gmail account and you can like email a list or whatever, I would assume that they're not allowed to do that anymore. Obviously, there's going to be some companies that do whatever they want regardless, um but you basically just risk your whatever email that you're using if you're sending out mass communication to people who haven't signed up to receive mass communication from you. You're just risking losing whatever that email is or whatever that domain is. So
Yeah,
just be careful with it.
yeah, and so my job for myself, and I only did that with the Southwest Florida Inc. people.
Mhm.
John didn't care. He just uploaded it right to his right to his deal, and he's like, I'm emailing these people.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was before the changes too. Um, for me, it's just my job every day to grow my email list.
Mm.
Every day, what am I doing to grow my email list? How do I get more leads? And we can talk more. We're going to have a guest. I hope he agrees to come on. I have a friend named Gary Goad who gets leads. He'll run an ad. He'll get leads. He does concrete steps. So in Ohio, there's we have basements, so there's usually concrete steps going up into the house, and or wooden steps or whatever. So he sells pre-mold concrete steps. And he has this like insane follow-up system he does with postcards that he gets. Again, everybody stops at did they buy or didn't they buy from the initial contact? And then they're going off and finding new leads. And he was like, all right, how do I get these people that did sign up? And he's sending really simple, boring, no graphic design postcards and getting high conversion rates off of those postcards. And I
Nice.
actually had him speak at a home builders association meeting, and he was talking to them, and there were HVAC guys there, there were roofing guys there, and he's talking to them, and he's like, you have this list and all that gold. Remember we talked about the 10 people are going to, or 5 people are going to buy now, 45 people are going to buy later. So of all of those 45 people, that's where the gold is, that the gold is in that part of the list. And he's explaining it to him. He shows him the exact postcards he used. And at the end, they raise their hand. The guy raises his hand and says, yeah, but are you going to show us how to get more leads? And so like they just totally didn't get it. And that is your competitors right now. And that is 99% of most businesses. Yeah, but are you
Mhm.
going to get me more leads? It's so rare that somebody has a follow-up system. And I think that's for you guys, that's going to be where the money is. And you have the tech. Unfortunately, now, back in my day, we didn't have the tech to do this kind of stuff when I first started out. I've been selling online since 2001. So we didn't have the tech to do certain things, but now the tech is there in abundance for you to be able to segment, know exactly who is buying what when. So you have the tech, you just have to have the strategy on top of the tech. You have to know how to talk to people, how to write those emails. And that's more of the training that we're adding to Marketing Power Hour as we go along. You could definitely go back and watch the 9-word email, but I did a whole presentation on offers and how to create offers, how to find your perfect customer, who is your ideal customer. So all of that is important stuff. It's people say, oh, that takes time, that's boring. I think it's super interesting, but it's the job of your business. It is your job as a business owner. There are two halves to your business. There's the part that provides the service, and there's the part that markets the service. And without the marketing side, without a strong understanding of the marketing side, even if you kind of, had great word of mouth and like you're great at networking, there's only so much networking you can do. And if you're looking to grow and scale, that one-on-one touch is much more difficult to do on a larger scale with each individual customer. So you're at the point now you need marketing systems and to really understand the psychology behind those systems, strategies for when to deploy different systems, so that you've got that working on autopilot in the back, and you can add another 10,000 emails to your list without having to email each one of them individually and have those conversations. So that's where you are. And I think some of the wobble that you're having this season is yes, it's due to the weather, but you didn't have a system already in place of how to react when business goes down.
Yeah.
Right? It's reactive, not proactive.
Exactly.
And if you can back up and take the time to learn this stuff, read some books, watch my videos, listen to podcasts, whatever it takes. Marketing Power Hour is here for this reason. The reason why I'm doing that, I have a business, right? I don't need to be doing this, but I know how well Facebook can work for small businesses, so I'm passionate about that. But two, it pains me to see people have their hopes and dreams shattered because they don't understand how to get a customer. They're really, really great at the providing the service part, but then they're in pain because they can't find enough customers and they feel absolutely lost in a sea of a lot of bad information. There's a ton of bad information and there's a ton of bad actors out there. When I first started learning marketing, nobody called themselves a marketing company, and especially not in our small town. There was like a printer and there was the advertising company, but nobody really talked about marketing. Now, all of a sudden, everybody and their brother is in marketing and they're providing services, but they're not necessarily, it's like selling the dream, right? Oh, we can get you in front of 1 million people. But is it the million right people? And do I have the right message? And are those people going to convert into buyers? And so it's really easy to get caught up in the sales tactics that all these marketers have out there right now. And my full intention with this program is to empower you to know the difference and to be able to track and be able to learn exactly what it is that converts that person into a buyer. So that's what I would like to leave you with on my end. Do you have any other questions?
No, I don't think so. You're good.
No, I think we've taken quite a bit from it.
Are you going to do a 9-word email this week?
Do you think I should do a 9-word? I have an email going out like on the 1st of the month. So should I do it before or after? Doesn't matter.
No, you could literally email every day. Like,
okay.
Yeah, I would do it now. I would do it.
Yeah,
today.
then I'll do it now.
See, I did used to be scared of the email stuff because a lot of our customers, when we got their emails, like sometimes it's still like pulling teeth to get their email from them. Oh, well, I don't want a bunch of emails. Well, you're going to get your invoice via email. Okay, well, that's all I better get. And then we do put them on the list. And I mean, they're all on the list. They haven't unsubscribed. I think you had a small handful, a couple.
About 12.
Yeah, and you'll always get
that have unsubscribed. So,
and that's perfectly fine if they don't want to be there. There's an easy button to hit to let them out.
Yeah.
But here's the thing to always remember. People don't want boring, spammy emails. We do want emails that we want, right? So again, with my clients, they're always like, oh, I don't want to send emails. I'm like, you're getting Joanne Fabric emails though, aren't you? They're like, oh yeah, well, I love those. I check out every single one of those. I'm like, but they're emailing you like twice a day. Oh, I don't care. Like there's always like something there. And I'll ignore them for a while and then I'll go in and I'll check them because that is it's something they enjoy. You're right. They have a reason for it. They have a reason for getting the email. They love fabric. They love craft supplies. They love all of that stuff. So that's a valuable email to them. So what you need to do is make a valuable email for your customers. It's got to have value. If it doesn't have value, they're going to get pissed off. If all you're saying is like, hire us for all your air conditioning needs, they're like, oh my gosh, you're boring me to tears, and stop sending me emails. But if you tell them stories, we love stories. If you give them tips, hey, we're about to get into the warmest part of the year. Here are 3 things you need to know going into this time of year. If you give them value, they're going to read it and they're going to thank you for sending them emails. It's not, I don't want to bore them and get them mad. It's how do I send emails that they thank me for? That when we're out in the field, they're actually saying, oh, I get your emails all the time. Your emails are really, really great. Same with Facebook posts. I don't want to post every day because I don't want to aggravate people. Well, then don't post aggravating posts. Don't post annoying posts. Post good posts that they're leaning in. I always talk about the lean back and they'll lean in. If you lean back and just give value and give, then they're going to lean in and say, what else you got? What else you got? And when they're ready to buy, they're going to buy from you. You're muted, Mark. Mark, you're muted. I can't hear you. I'll click the ask to unmute, so hopefully it pops up. Because I can't unmute you myself.
See what happens when Jennifer leaves?
Yeah, see what happens when Jennifer leaves? Chaos.
Oh, this is funny. Allie, I put it in the chat, but I love when you said cool idea.
Yeah.
They need to be using KOOL idea for something.
Yeah, so here are 5
Love
cool
that.
ideas for your AC this summer. Something like that. Yeah, I like that.
And I'm doing my 9-worder as soon as we hang up.
Yeah, good. 9-word email. I love it. I love it. Starts conversations like
uncopyable
I
too.
did it.
Yay!
all right,
One
you
of
got
the-
it. Yay!
It
The
took me
thing
a
to
minute. I had
remember with
find
that-
the arrow. She's got like 3 screens here, guys, and I had to find the arrow on the 3 screens. So 2 questions, one about Facebook, and then one's just a question for everybody real quick. Question about Facebook. I've been talking with a marketing company that does nothing but AC companies.
Mhm.
And they're very dedicated. Like if they do take care of me in Southwest Florida, they won't take another company here,
Mhm.
which I really like that idea. But one of the things they were talking about was that when they do your ads for Facebook, they'll do ads either, they'll do multiple different types for you. But when they're doing it leaning towards the purchase of a new AC, their thing will be new AC as low as $79.95 a month. Do you think stuff like that, giving them the monthly payment, is better than giving them the big picture?
Well, it can, yes. I'm gonna defer to Duncan on ads because as soon as you said like they do ACs on Facebook, I'm like no, but then you said they do ads, and I'm like okay,
Yeah.
then probably. So you don't want to hire a company like that for organic. Organic needs to be organic from you. It needs to be real from you. But a lot of times these specialized companies in ads can do better because they've already tested the market. So I'll let
they've
Duncan go on.
grown because they own an AC company in Pennsylvania.
Mm.
Even better. Yeah.
Yep.
And
I love
to millions.
I love agencies like that, right? So there are some agencies that are fantastic. Usually they started a marketing agency or a marketing company after building their own company, and they learned and built something that worked for them, and they're like, hey, let's copy and paste this system for other AC companies. And the beauty of that is like they aren't wasting your money testing out things for you in your market. They did all the testing for themselves on their own business. The only thing that I would recommend for you is to ask questions like, when can we expect to get results from this, and what are the results? So if you have like a clear path to, companies like that shouldn't shy away from talking about revenue targets, right? So like if
They
you're at
talked a lot about it.
beautiful. Okay, so that's a good signal for me, right? So if they're like, you're here and we want to get you here and here's how much it's going to cost, like that's like that's what real I hesitate to say real. That's what marketing agencies who are focused on actual results usually talk about. Like that's what that's the kind of language that they use, right? They're interested in growing your company based on tangible numbers. And it's a good signal, but I would also have a very clear understanding of when those results are going to come in and what will happen if they don't, right? So a lot of those companies see that they see other marketing agencies popping up that are doing the same thing, and they're also copying another company. So you can still get companies like that are new, and they're like, hey, we've seen this work for other people, let's try it out. So a track record of success with companies other than their own is a good one to look for. Like case studies from other AC companies is a good thing to look for. But to answer your actual question, the idea of showing a monthly payment as opposed to like the full payment for the system can be a good way to get people to can be a good way to generate leads, right? So like they're talking about, how do we get somebody to book an appointment or to submit their information to potentially work with you guys? And what they're doing is they've probably tested out a lot of different ways to get somebody to take that next step. And that's one of the ones that I would assume for AC companies works well, because you're not saying like that full number, you're making it like a much more manageable price. So
Yeah.
it is one of the offers that I would test, but usually that's like one of many, right? It's like they're going to test out a bunch of different offers to see what works in your market, and then they'll go from there. So yes, it can work, but the correct answer to that question is I would test it, right? It's like test it to see if it works best here versus something else.
And you
Um,
need to have the tracking on your own end
Yeah,
and
they
knowing
give me
what
a dash. They give you a dashboard to track it with.
well, but what I mean is like you need to know who has converted, right?
Yep.
So
Oh
you
yeah,
can see what the ads are doing. And one of the things, one of the tricks some of these agencies do is they say, look at how much reach we got, look at how many views we got, look at
but
how many
nobody
likes we got,
converted.
look at how many comments we got, right? So
Yep.
you need to be able to see on the back end, this customer converted and they came from this ad, right?
Yep.
So you need to be clear that the campaigns themselves are actually converting from your own numbers. And that's why this tracking that we've been talking all along, that's another advantage of it. If you can tag them, then you can go back over the previous month and say, all right, I see we got we installed 5 new ACs this month that are tagged with this ad. So it's definitely working.
Yep.
But Duncan talked before about like this guy that came to him and said, it's been 9 months. When should we expect to have a result? You need to be able to see on your own end and not just hear from them. And if you're
Yep.
getting phone calls, but nobody's converting, then something's still not working. And there's
Yeah.
Either the ad
it's
or
either the
me. It's
wrong
either one
person.
fault or the other.
Right. It's either the wrong person is calling or the deal isn't getting done on the phone. And so
Yep.
if you're not tracking that sort of stuff, then you have no idea who's falling down on the job.
Right.
Most of those companies, like the very industry specific results based marketing agencies, their sell is, as far as I've seen, is like, we've taken companies from X revenue to X revenue in this amount of time.
5 million to
And
140.
yeah, so generally they're working off of a really, really strong value proposition. And to me, it's like if they can back it up, Like the results and that growth is not something that you would have achieved yourself without them. And they hit those numbers, then to me it's a very clear win. But what Ali's saying is right. Like you also have to be able to, it can't just be based on their dashboard. Like it's nice to have, but you need to be aware and cognizant of if it's actually working yourself for, on your end as well. The other thing to ask them too is like, do you own the data, right? So like some of these companies will generate these leads for you and customers for you, but in their contracts they retain the customer data, and it's not yours for like if you leave the company you don't get to keep those emails. So I would ask about that as well. And
That's a good question, a good one. I know that, and maybe if you're interested, if you don't mind, I'll give you the name of the company if you want to pop in and take a look at it.
Sure.
And just give me your insight on it, because I trust you guys' insight.
Sure.
I know
I think
that
that'd be a great video for us to do.
that what they
100%,
do
yeah.
is they're pricey, but they charge you a management fee, but all of your postings, your ads and stuff, that's paid for directly off of your credit card. They don't charge you and then do it. That
Yep,
way you see everything that was boosted or everything that was posted. You see all that. And so my understanding is it's all mine, but I could be wrong. I could be misunderstanding something, but
sure.
I think we've got both your emails. If we do, I'll email you what they sent me.
Yep.
And it was really interesting. It was actually eye-opening, but I was a little sticker shocked.
Yeah. So the deal with a lot of those, like I mentioned, it's like they charge a lot because it is a lot of work, and the companies, not to say that the ones that are legitimate charge a lot of money, because the ones that are selling snake oil often charge a lot of money also. But
yeah.
But if they are literally saying like, we're going to generate X amount of revenue for you or X amount of customers over the next X amount of time, it's usually a good signal to me that they're starting from a good place, right? Like they're not saying, we're going to get you a bunch of traffic to your website, or we're going to get you a bunch of engagement on social media. Like if they're literally saying, we're going to get you customers and revenue, and here's the plan, that's something that I, as a business owner, would pay for, as long as they can do it, right?
He told me be ready to turn on the faucet. He said be ready for the faucet. When you put it, he said your faucet's gonna turn on and you're not gonna have enough buckets to catch it.
And
sure,
that's the
so
thing
that's
too.
good sales language. Yeah.
Yes,
it's
that's
very
what I thought too.
Yeah.
But that's the thing
And
too.
that,
So say the faucet does go on, you need to make sure that you are prepared, because
Yep.
if you drop the ball, and Duncan and I have talked about this a bunch of times too, that
Yep.
if you drop the ball as the
The
business
market can
owner,
work
the
against
agency
you.
could be the best on the planet, and you're
Mhm.
still not closing because you're dropping the ball on your end.
Mhm.
So I
Yep,
think
yep.
Duncan and I should definitely do a video about the proposal that they sent you, because I think it would help a lot of people to kind of
Yep.
see this is the value, and this is like things that everybody says, but let's dig deeper into it. Duncan,
Mm.
is it common in that industry for any guarantees, or are they, I would look at it too, is there any risk reversal? Like, I'm
Yeah,
telling you that we're going to turn on the faucet, but if it doesn't happen in 3 months and now I've paid you like 10 grand for nothing to
Yep.
happen,
Yep.
what comes out of that?
Usually the ones that I've seen that are industry specific, built my own business, you're gonna get our exact systems. They usually have a really clear, you'll get X in X amount of time. And there's not usually a risk reversal, because they know that you're at least going to get, they don't usually overpromise. It's like, we can add X amount of dollars in revenue. It's very similar to Gym Launch Guy, Alex Hermosi.
Mhm.
And like they have a thing where they know they're going to generate some customers. Like they know they're going to get at least this amount of money for you in new whatever, even if it's pipeline value. So like that's the other thing that I look at, right? It's like some of these companies do you know, we'll add X amount of revenue to your business in 3 months, but it's unrealized revenue. So that's a kind of trick that they'll pull sometimes. It's like these are all appointments on your calendar that represent, you know, $200,000 in revenue, but it's not actual sales. So there are some people that'll do that, but like usually it's a pretty clear offer of like, we're going to get you this amount of customers in 3 months or whatever. So
I think if they were smart marketers, they'd put some risk reversal there. If they know for sure that it's going to happen, then it doesn't hurt them at all to put the risk
Yep.
reversal.
You're
or
right.
else your money back, or else we will personally call every single, you know what I mean? Like some sort of risk reversal in there. I
yeah.
think if they're that confident,
Usually they rely on the affinity of we built our AC company
Sure.
to X amount, you know, like those are popping up all over the place, right? Like roofers, solar, AC. It's like there are guys that are like, yeah, I built my business and I use this marketing system. Now I'm going to package it and resell it because that's where the real money is, in building other people's businesses. And like it works because, you know, they have the experience in their own industry, but it can also you can run into problems of like regional differences in customers, right? Like we have seasons here, some other places, you know, don't. We have seasonal visitors here that don't live here year round, and other places don't necessarily have that. And like there's things that they haven't run into yet as marketers that they don't really know how to deal with sometimes. So, you know, there it depends is the right answer to the question. And we are going to take a look and make a video on it for you.
Yep,
I think that's a
yep.
great idea.
Love it.
Awesome.
Did you have a second question, Mark?
Well, I just wanted an opinion from anybody. We're looking at possibly bringing in a thermostat that if your AC is having a problem, it will notify us as the contractor,
I
and it
love
will
that.
pop up on your screen to give Dr. Cool a call on your thermostat screen that there's a problem with the AC.
That's great.
I love that.
And it's one of those things because it's a catch-22. If the wrong companies get a hold of this thermostat, I can make it tell you that you need to call the doctor, even if you don't. But on the real side of it is if the AC is having a problem, it will alert us, and we can also reach out to you to tell you, hey, we noticed your AC is having a problem. We got an alert, kind of like your ADT and all that stuff. I was wanting anybody's opinion on that wanted to give their opinion.
I think it's brilliant. I think
Same.
if you can be proactive and let them know there's a problem before they even know that there's a problem, and say, hey, we're going to come out and take a look at this because we're getting some really funny readings from your thermostat. Yeah, my husband has a pacemaker that does the same thing. Like if there's a problem, they let the doctor know, and then the doctor is like, hey, you just had like an event and you need to come in and see us. Like that's brilliant.
We were seeing that as revenue because I could charge you $19 a month to monitor your air conditioner.
And that's even better. Continuity is my absolute favorite. And you guys have that a little bit with your AC club.
Yep. Club.
So you have that a little bit with that, but continuity is the other thing that you can do that gets you through those highs and lows, right? A lot of business now, less business now, but if you have that continuity going throughout. I had a business that was semi based on like semi short-term continuity. It was the same business I have now, but it was a different model. I was running it on a different model. And I can show you a month where we did like $28,000 in sales that month. And within 3 months, we were down to $3,000 in sales because we were riding the wave of like when people are ready for it and when they aren't. But now that we have a continuity business, now that we have a monthly charge, my income's predictable. I knew what I was going to make this month minimum already going into the month. I know what I'm going to make next month, right? Based on what promotions I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do, etc. So my revenue is steady. And if you could have a continuity program in place, number one, you're selling the unit, so you get the upfront. Then you have the monthly continuity after that, where just for a low price, and especially for seasonal people that maybe, and Diane's
We
not here,
physically
so I
have to
won't
do
say it, that
nothing.
don't want to hire a home watch, but they can still have their AC monitored from afar. that's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for that amount of money to protect their home and protect their investment while they're gone. No-brainer. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yep. Gorgeous idea.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like it was made for Southwest Florida. Like you know, up north in Ohio, well, it would probably kick back like heater information too, but like no, just the how much people use their ACs down here, and then having people, number one, that aren't mechanically inclined to understand what's happening themselves. You know, they don't even notice if that it's getting warmer or humidity is getting higher. They don't even notice that it's happening. And number three, they're gone for a period of time and they need something that reports back. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Get that continuity going. And if you
Yep.
could get your continuity to the point where it's paying basic expenses of your business, if you look at it that way, then everything that you make above that is gravy. And when you have a downturn, you know your basic expenses are being paid for. And that's an email campaign too. Like we could go deep into that one. All those 2,700 customers you have could get a new thermostat right now. And we could create an entire email campaign out of that, telling them why this is of benefit for them, this new technology. Like that gets me very, very excited.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
Awesome.
Anything else?
You.
Yep.
No, we're good.
I think we're good.
Thank you. I know it was a
Thank
little
you.
bit of a fire hose. There's a lot of information
love
all
it.
at once, but we will be putting the recording up on the there's a hot seat section in the marketing power hour area of the training. So it will be put up there as a hot seat so you can go back and revisit anytime. And you're more than welcome to request another one in the future as you start doing stuff and you're like, okay, we're in a new spot now and we've got different challenges now. Just let us know. And I think we're doing like a hot seat a month. But if we did 2 or 3 hot seats a month, I don't care. I love hot seats. Like I'd rather
Yeah,
do
they're
this.
fun.
I'd rather do this than just a boring training. I don't try to make my training boring, but this is definitely much more interactive and talking specifically
I
to
like
where
it.
you're at.
Yeah, I like it. Perfect. Thank
Yeah,
you.
definitely send us that company information so
Yes.
we can do the video on them.
And
will.
depending on how Duncan's feeling this week, we'll see what we can get done as far as your Facebook page review. We'll jump on, and it was just I ran out of steam last week.
You're
We
good.
got 3 of them done. It took us 2 hours to get 3 of them done. And I'm like,
Wow.
I'm done. I gotta go. So we'll try to get that done this week if Duncan feels up to it.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you
Thank you,
everybody for
Donna.
coming.
Feel
And we'll
better.
see you next week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.